Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 58 of the All Dolphins podcast. This one in honor of a man you've mentioned many times on the show in recent episodes. You like him, you love him. Carlos Dansby.
Oh, totally forgot Carlos Dansby wore 58. Yes, best linebacker the Dolphins have had since Zach Thomas. I do not think Dolphin fans have put enough respect on his tenure, even though he was a rental player, not homegrown. And that's another question that I have for the Dolphin fan base. You know, this franchise has long been a supporter of paying everybody else's players and going out and pursuing those guys. And I believe Carlos might have been the first player that Steve Ross, as owner, made the highest paid player at his position. There's been a long list since.
Yeah, but that sounds about right.
And so how do Dolphin fans feel about always paying everybody else's talent, but not necessarily breaking off the homegrown talent, which gets us into the Christian Wilkins conversation, argument, debate, discussion, which, you know, I usually try to avoid, obviously.
We'll avoid it today because we've discussed it ad nauseum. Plus, I have an analysis piece on alldolphins.com exploring all angles of it and possible solutions, if there are any. So
possible solution. I read it. I didn't see a possible solution.
Come on, man. But there is a possible solution. The Dolphins give him what he wants. Okay, this is episode 58. This is going to be the first of two episodes we do on this day, Tuesday, August 29th, because it's a big day. It's roster cut down day. Dolphins actually have made some moves already, and we're going to discuss those, possibly what to look for the rest of the day. And then we'll be back after all the final cuts are made to wrap up the whole day. So Dolphins officially made 14 roster cuts on Monday, which I believe was 11 players waived, 3 contracts terminated. Those are vested veterans who now can sign for everybody. The players who were waived, even though they were waived Monday, have to go through the same waiver process as everybody else, which with teams having a deadline of noon on Wednesday to claim everybody who's being waived this week. Guess we should run down the list of the people who were waived.
Mitchell, do we need to?
we should, for the sake of being thorough, which we try to do here at All Dolphins. Mitchell Agude, James Blackman, Josiah Bronson, Randy Charlton, Chris Coleman, Aubrey Miller II, Garrett Nelson, Keydron Smith, James Tunstall, Jalen Twyman, and Jamal Woods. And the 3 players whose contracts were terminated were offensive tackle Jerron Christian, wide receiver Kiki Cutie, I'm told that's how you pronounce his name, and then linebacker AJ Johnson, who was signed last week. And then we'll address those in a bit. The big move, more so than this one, I guess, would be, well, first of all, we should add that Malik Reed, linebacker, has been released per sources, including ESPN, which was the first one to report it, even though that happened early in the day and it was not in the official release the Dolphins put out about 4 p.m. And then overnight or late last night, the trade of offensive lineman Dan Feeney to the Chicago Bears for a 2024 6th-round pick. So, Omar, how about we start with that one?
I actually want to start with the guys
or not,
and because I just want to put that out the way. I think it's a very smart strategy on the Dolphins' part for guys like Mitchell Agude, Aubrey Miller, guys who you can pretty much safety, maybe even Jalen Twyman, guys who you think you can safely put on your practice squad. You get them out there by noon today, they'll be allowed to re-sign to Miami's practice squad if another team doesn't claim them. I don't think there's any threat.
Omar, I'm sorry to interject, but in the interest of being accurate information here, no, they're not allowed to re-sign with the Dolphins today. The practice squads cannot be set until that Wednesday at noontime. Wednesday.
Okay, so nobody can sign practice squad till Wednesday at noon.
Correct. So the Dolphins releasing those guys early doesn't really provide any sort of an advantage.
I thought it would have been anyway, I forgot. Practice squads can't be assembled till after the 53 is produced. Okay, so then there's really no advantage except for at least these guys get a day ahead of the market. I also, just for the sake of transparency, did comb through all the waivers made in this first round. Looked through maybe 200 names. Didn't find anything I really liked. But this isn't the thrift store that I want to go shopping at. I want to go shopping at the thrift store later.
The good thrift store.
Yes, the good thrift store. I will say this. The trade Malik Reed not being officially released does make a little bit of sense. Maybe a team. I mean, really, I don't see why a team would want to trade for him, considering they can sign him once he's released because he's a vested veteran. But maybe a team doesn't want to compete with everybody else. Not to say that he's that dynamic of a player, but I think he could potentially be one of those players where they waive you now with the intentions of bringing you back later. I don't know if to me, it really comes down to Cameron Good. And I remember watching Cameron Good on special teams with the first team in the Jaguars game and thinking to myself, is he making the 53? And maybe he is. Maybe he is that special teams head buster I've been looking for. Now let's get to the Dan Feeney trade. I don't want to say anything that'll mess up the trade, because congratulations to Chris Greer on getting a 7th-round pick for Dan Feeney, a guy whose contract you'd fully guaranteed. But for the sake of being who I am, which is a person who's bluntly honest, I thought Dan Feeney was a bad signing after looking at him. And if his contract wasn't guaranteed, he wouldn't have made my 53-man roster. And I am looking at Liam Eichenberg as a backup center, maybe future center, if we're going to salvage his career.
Here's the thing, though, and I've thought about that as well too, because everything of Dan Feeney's salary was guaranteed. It was 3.2 or something like 3.2,
Yeah.
Except 2.05 of that was a signing bonus, which the Dolphins were going to eat regardless.
Yes.
So had they cut him before they were able to trade him, at that point, the only leftover money that they would have eaten would have been 1.2, which is what they saved. So after looking at it carefully, yeah, I'm not 100% sure that he would have made the roster strictly because of the guarantee money. Again, you'd already flushed that. The signing
he'd already been paid for, though. Even his million was guaranteed. So, like,
correct.
You
But
know how
again,
I feel about wasting Steve Ross's money.
I don't understand that, but the 2 million was already done anyway. But the fact that they got
but there was 1 million still that was guaranteed.
Correct. But the fact that they got a 6th-round pick in 2024, that's good work for a guy who, again, and if you look at Dan Feeney's resume, he's a journeyman. I mean, he started with the Chargers, he went to the Jets, he's got some starting experience, not a ton. And mind you, this is a guy who's a center guard. And if you look in the second half of games, and this is where with a team that really has had a revolving door at left guard to find a starter, Isaiah Wynn, Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, Liam Eichenberg.
He wasn't a contender.
He wasn't a contender. And then in the second half of the games in the preseason, he was playing guard, and the rookie free agent, Alain Oluwave, was the one playing center. So, and this is the other guy who, is it possible that Oluwave makes the roster as a rookie free agent with Feeney gone? Yeah, maybe.
53 or practice squad?
No, well, I think he's definitely on the practice squad. Is it impossible that he makes the 53 now with Feeney gone?
Not impossible, but in my opinion, unlikely. But I've been wrong a billion times before on this. I would also be trying to upgrade my practice squad and 53 claiming a center. But obviously, if the Bears felt that there was a center out there, or they would have traded for that player. So yeah, this one, congratulations to Chris Greer. I knew you weren't going to get shut out on a trade. I just knew you weren't. Chris Greer has made more trades as a Dolphins executive.
Don't say the term now. Don't say the term. You have to be nice. Go ahead. Don't say it.
What term?
Don't say it. No, I'm not going to even repeat it. Well, I'll tell you off the air afterwards. Here's an important fact about the Dan Feeney trade also. It's not official until it's official. Because remember, the Dolphins traded Adam Shaheen to the Houston Texans last summer, and nothing was nullified when Shaheen failed his physical with the Texans. So, again, it has been reported that the sides have agreed to a trade. He still has a pass a physical before it becomes official. So, yeah, there's that. And I'm completely with you on Malik Reed. In fact, to me, he falls into the Robbie Chosen category, because I'm going to guess it's going to be more than one player who makes it 53, then goes on IR. Definitely Jalen Ramsey. Elijah Campbell, if his injury is not that
Robert Jones.
not,
What?
50-50 on Robert Jones. I don't think Robert Jones was a lock to make the roster. Sorry. So to
I
me,
mean, okay, so who's your backup guard? Since you want to do this, let's do this then.
Lester Cotton and Liam Meikenberg would be the
Yeah,
backup
again,
offensive line.
let's move Liam Meikenberg out of that conversation because we feel like he might be moving to center. And realistically, let's be real about it. Everybody's totally lost confidence in him.
Well, but they're all interior offensive linemen. It's rare to have a guy who's strictly a center. Like when Michael Dieter was here and he was the backup center, he had guard experience.
Yes. And Liam will play 3 spots, and then you got Lester Cotton. And who else? You need another one. You need a third.
Well, Kendall Lamb just swing tackle, and then let me look at my roster here that I have.
Trust me, you got nothing. Unless Keon Smith is going to be sticking around, which
Keon Smith's not sticking around. Nor should he. No offense to Keon Smith.
Hey man, he's stuck around quite a long time.
Yeah, no. No, but yeah, Robert Jones might make it. I don't think he's a slam dunk. But anyway, my point was that the Dolphins need a couple of guys to cut and then to terminate the contract or release and then bring back. And somebody made a good point today on social media, a national writer, that if you want to do that, it's easier to do it with veterans whose contract will be terminated than guys who get waived. So this is where Malik Reed comes into play. Robbie Chosen comes into play. Guys that you're not necessarily.
Tyler Croft comes into play.
Another very good one.
Eric Saubert, if he's going to be 53 or it waived injured, I don't know. That's a mystery that I'm curious. Yes, you cut the Tyler Crofts as opposed to the Tanner Connors and have somebody claim Tanner Connor. Also, I'm going to try to save some of those guys that I fear will be poached that I want to put on my practice squad till maybe Thursday, when other teams have claimed guys and have gone through their rigmarole of scavenging, thrift store scavenging like myself. And maybe they've gotten a couple guys and they don't want any more projects. Maybe they've added a tight end already and they don't feel like going after Tanner Connor, who's really not really shown anything. Talented player, want to continue to invest in him. I'm not sure if it's 53 or practice squad, but yes, I think also the Dan Feeney move, it opens the door for, let's hear it, a waiver wire claim on offensive line. Yeah. And the offensive line, defensive line. I'm not going to talk about my thrift store shopping because you're so annoyed by it.
I'm going to be annoyed by you talking about wanting to save guys for the practice squad after you've been adamant that you're not worried about anybody you waive losing them.
I'm not.
Well, but it's got to be considered. Then you shouldn't focus on guys who you want to keep on the practice squad if you're not worried about losing any of them.
There are players like Tanner Connor, maybe even Myles Gaskin. Is he a vested veteran? Yes, he is. So Myles doesn't even have to subject himself to waivers. Let's say I'm not waiving Eric. Elijah Higgins and Julian Hill. Now, perfect. He said Tanner Connor, Elijah Higgins, Julian Hill. All 3 of them I would like to invest in my practice squad. None of them have to make my 53-man roster. I really don't care. But if I'm a team that's looking for a tight end, why not kick the tires? But I'm doing that as well to the 31 other teams in the NFL who cut a tight end that I might have interest in.
Okay, but the question now is, are you okay with losing any one of those 3?
I'm absolutely fine with losing any of the 3.
Okay. I will tell you.
I mean, I got to lose all 3 for me to even feel a dent.
Okay, fair enough. Former Dolphin note, I've been keeping track of those. Sam Eguavan was released by the Jets. Where there's talk he's going to wind up signing back to their practice squad. I will tell you 2 names that have come up to me that kind of caught my attention a little bit from the waiver wire cuts around the league. One of them is a guy that I know that you're familiar with. Another one is not familiar with the guy, to be honest with you, is one of the 4 Jacksonville tight ends who apparently, by all accounts, was really, really good in camp. And there's some actually surprise. Name is Jarrett Prince. I'll be honest with you, I have never heard of the dude, but everything I've read is really good in training camp in the preseason. Some teams are going to be interested. Well, maybe the Dolphins absolutely should investigate that. And then the other one is veteran terminated is Deion Jones by the Carolina Panthers. There's something there. He once upon a time when Atlanta was a really good player. I don't know where his career has gone. I'll be honest with you. I'm not like I focus on him all that much, but I know he's a good, solid player. At one,
I mean,
the linebacker, yes, and he's an off the ball linebacker.
Christian Kirksey interests me, but I don't know what level of interest. I'm still looking for a Neville Hewitt type. I'm gonna be watching to see if Neville Hewitt's waived.
He's not getting cut.
Hey man, he's been hanging around the bottom end of a 53-man roster for his entire career, making a living on special teams, which I could tell people that's a good living. That is a very good living. So I don't know. I want that type of guy who could help me. But the decisions that you made at your linebacker spot with cutting Jarrett Nelson, cutting Mitchell.
Garrett Nelson, my God, you have a block without that name.
What is Garrett?
Garrett
Nelson, Mitchell Agude, Aubrey Miller. I know some fans were like, Aubrey Miller absolutely has to make this team. I'm like, he does have a big portion of his guaranteed, so I'm sure the Dolphins are hoping somebody picks him up. Not that Steve Ross will even shed a tear about giving away $100,000, but Aubrey Miller is definitely a guy I would want to add to my practice squad. Same thing with Mitchell Agude. I think there was another guy that I was.
But it's not a big deal if they get picked up, based on your. Okay, we will definitely bring them back to the practice squad, but not a big deal.
I'll get another round at them somewhere, somehow, either a futures contract or a practice squad claim. I'm not worried about it. If I like them enough, they'll come back to me like AJ Francis did multiple times with the Miami Dolphins. But the decisions that you made creates a massive hole at linebacker, creates a void at outside linebacker, and now you've got a void at offensive line and a void at tight end because it ain't nothing there. And yet people will continuously tell me, oh, your issues with depth. Oh, well, tell me other teams that have depth. Why are you always talking about the depth? Because your depth is bad. B-A-D with a capital B-A-D.
Again, I don't think it's quite the dramatic situation that you seem to think it is, but okay.
Go ahead.
What they've done at off the ball linebacker seems pretty set right now, barring a move that they have. David Long Jr., Jerome Baker, Duke Riley, Channing Tindall, and don't forget that Andrew Van Winkle can swing to inside linebacker. Yes. And then at the edge, like you mentioned, maybe Malik Reed comes back after somebody goes on IR to join Phillips, Chug, Agba. Van Ginkel's there. Maybe Cameron Good makes the team because of his special teams work.
Yeah, see, but look at you. You ran out of names.
Well, because I don't have my list, and right now I'm like,
come on, you're like Rain Man. You know the names. It's just no names there for you.
Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Emmanuel Agba, Andrew Van Ginkel, Cameron Good, Malik Reed, or the edge defender.
You are okay. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna put you on a stand and ask you like a lawyer. Dolphins depth at tight end, issue or not an issue?
No, the issue is they don't have frontline difference makers. Period. Forget depth. I mean, they have one guy at tight end. I mean, seriously, when we looked at when we did our projections, we both agreed they had one guy who was a lock. That's it. Durham Smythe. Yeah. Well, that tells you that there's not enough.
Offensive lineman, you got 9 or you don't have 9? Yes or no?
Yes, you can have 9. Yes, you can have 9. I'm not necessarily crazy about Cedric O as my 9, but you can have 9.
Okay. Defensive line. No problems or not or no problem?
Well, no problem. There's a problem, especially if Deshaun Hand's injury situation is of a concern. And we don't know exactly the extent of it. We do know that, again, he was pulled out of practice when he tried going inside one day last week. He had a wrap around his knee, didn't practice the next day, and then didn't play in the game. And again, in talking to people in Detroit, what I was told is that the guy can play, but he's always hurt.
All right. So do you have issue with depth at defensive
Yes,
line or not?
absolutely, without question.
Okay. What about depth at linebacker? Issues of depth at linebacker or not?
No, I think they're okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Cornerback
Duke Riley as your first backup inside linebacker is perfectly fine.
and Andrew Van Ginkel as your second backup inside linebacker. You're okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And Andrew Van Ginkel is your top backup outside of Ogba, who, we know the situation.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
a swing guy who can play both spots and makes things happen every time he's on the field. No, I have no issue with that.
So cornerback, you got 6? Because you need 6. Do you have 6?
Yeah, no, I do have 6. I have more than 6 actually.
Do you have 6 you like?
Yes. And that's not even including Jalen Ramsey, who obviously that's a big factor.
Okay.
Because you tell me how many teams in the league will look at Jalen Ramsey and still have great depth at cornerback. I mean, come on. Xavier Howard, Kader Kohu, Cam Smith, the double move aside. Noah's going to make the team because of his contract. Eli Apple, I like.
Okay. Who's your 6? Is it Crossan or Justin Bethel?
Dude, it's going to be crossing of those two. And Justin Bethel with that brace that he had on his knee, to me, looks like he's got IR or injury settlement written all over.
Okay. Now answer this
and then
question.
and then you're going to have Nick Needham when he comes back off PUP.
Correct. Now answer this question.
And one more, and I'll give you one more. Perry Nickerson, who I liked a lot after he joined the team early on. That dude covered guys the entire time I saw him.
Okay. Are you shaking down Keon Crossan or not? $3.2 million.
What you're gonna take a pay cut or I cut you? No, you make if he's good enough to keep on your team. No, there's that would be, I don't know.
They've done it before.
I know. Well, they did it to Albert Wilson, but he went, what was it, from a lot to like, there was a major cut there. There was
they did it with the safety last year. Fedulum. They've done it.
Okay, but again, how much Crossing salary is like what, 3.1, 3.2 mil? How much are you going to chop off?
2. I'm just speculating here.
No, I don't think they go there.
Okay, you think they keep it classy? All right, props to you. Props to you for keeping it classy as an executive. I know they don't always keep it classy. And safety, there's no way you could argue that that's not a depth issue.
Yeah, I would argue that. I mean, they have players again.
Who are these players?
Are you expecting them to have a Javon Holland, like 4 Javon Hollands at safety?
No. Who are these players you say they have? Who?
Deshaun Elliott is like a 4-year starter in the NFL.
Okay, Deshaun Elliott. Okay, you got
Brandon
2. Give me 2 more.
Brandon Jones is a former starter.
Okay, I'll allow it, even though he's injured. Give me another one.
Okay, and then Elijah Campbell once he comes back, who you can't poo-poo him because you
he's hurt. He's hurt.
Correct. Again, depending on how long his injury is going to be. So you have 3 basically starting caliber guys.
Okay, and 2 of them are hurt. Give me another. Since you just listed off 2 injured guys.
Well, Brandon Jones is going to be healthy at some point.
Some point, you hope. But he's 10 months out of an ACL injury, suffered a setback. You want to be banking on that?
Well, but here's the thing. Then if either he can't recuperate and get in the lineup, or his play really suffers from the injury he had, then yes, you have depth issue. As it stands right now, they're okay at safety.
All right.
Again, you can't have a stud every single solitary position.
You want to be banking on broken down safeties? No problem. Okay, we shall bank on broken down safeties. Hey, that's not a problem at all. Won't be a problem during the season. Wasn't a problem last year.
But those are backup guys. And again, you could say that about every team. There's only so much. I mean, so many frontline guys you can have on the roster. I don't think this is where you and I differ. I don't think their depth is great necessarily. They're a pretty top heavy team. I don't think it's quite the disaster you make it out to be.
Oh, it's a disaster. Let me give you a list of for those Dolphin fans who are absolutely will be obsessed with this day. Dolphins need to make 21 cuts. I give you 23 names on the watch list. Chris Brooks, River Craycraft, Braylon Sanders, who might need an injury settlement. Dawood Davis, who's obviously returned to the team and is healthy. Eric Saubert possibly might need an injury settlement. Elijah Higgins, Julian Hill, the 2 tight ends. Your backup center, I can't say his name. Alama Aluve. There you go. That's it.
What he said. Yeah.
Offensive lineman Keon Smith, Ryan Hayes, your 7th round draft pick. I don't think he has a chance to make the team. Could be wrong. They've kept worse. Larnell Coleman, to name them.
We just got cut, by the way.
Yes. Is Isaiah Prince. He was pretty bad too, even though he started with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Isaiah Prince is twice as good as Ryan Hayes. No offense, Ryan Hayes. Cedric O, who could make your 53. Definitely wouldn't want to keep him on my practice squad. Deshaun Hand, we don't know what that situation is. Brandon Peely, more than likely he's going to be released, headed to the practice squad. If he makes a 53, congratulations, young man. You're probably the most worthy of all the undrafted rookies to make the 53. Cameron Good, we talked about him earlier. He did well on special teams. Maybe that's how he makes the team. Justin Bethel possibly needs an injury settlement. He's got a big, nice, bulky little brace. Looks like he had a either clean out procedure or not. So that means probably down for 4 to 6 weeks. Verone McKinley, who, as we said in previous podcasts, Ronaldo Hill says he's vying for a starting spot, which is quite interesting to me. Ethan Bonner, undrafted rookie, Bryce Thompson, and Jamal Perry, and then Perry Nickerson, who obviously Poop loves.
I love. By the way, somebody reported.
Oh, Troy Williams. Forgot about Troy Williams.
Yeah. Somebody reported this morning Jamal Perry's been told he's being released. You didn't mention Myles Gaskin, which found interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one there, especially without knowing what is the latest on Jonathan Taylor. And I think that's probably a good segue for us. There is a Jonathan Taylor watch. The Dolphins have offers on the table. Obviously, your best offer or their best offer to you will probably come maybe by noon, within a couple of hours, the 11th hour. Does this get done by Tuesday? I'm very curious to see. Part of the reason that you have to be motivated to get it done by Tuesday is because if not, then Jonathan Taylor goes on your PUP for the season, which means he's going to be down for 6 weeks, 4 weeks,
or they changed
4 weeks. IR is 6 weeks, correct?
No, there's no more, nothing else that's 6 weeks now.
Okay.
UP used to be 6 weeks. They changed that.
So I don't know. I'm in a holding pattern on all these backs because we don't know what Jonathan Taylor is going to be procured for. As I've previously said, and I do stand on this, I think it's going to be a second and something. Now that gets you Jonathan Taylor, which is basically the initial investment that they put into him, which is a 2nd round draft pick. Would it be a 2nd rounder and Jeff Wilson, who it would benefit you to clear him, move him for cap space, especially since they're comparable backs? And you want to give Jeff Wilson a great opportunity to have success in the NFL. Would it be a second, next year's 4th, and Jeff Wilson, which would be honestly my best offer I'm putting on the table, unless you would like and have an interest in Emmanuel Ogbah, which you can pretty much get for free. Not that I'm disrespecting Emmanuel Ogbah. I'm a Emmanuel Ogbah fan. I just don't think he necessarily fits into this scheme. I'd love to see him go to a 4-3 team, which the Colts just so happen to be. The problem is Emmanuel Ogbah's owed $15 million. And to move that contract, you'd probably have to, you wouldn't get anything back in return, and you'd probably have to eat, unless Chris Greer is the greatest GM ever of all time. And if he pulls off an Emmanuel Ogbah trade where he gets something in return and doesn't give up money to do it,
some good work.
I will give you a standing applause if you make that happen. But the importance of a moving Emmanuel Ogbah is the capocalypse, which is coming.
Yeah.
And we continue to let you know it's coming. Moving Emmanuel Ogbah and freeing yourself of that $15 million for this year. He's already going to be released next year. He knows he's going to be released next year. But doing that gives you some breathing room and does not make it, oh, the world is coming to an end cap situation. Right now, it is the world is coming to an end cap situation, which is why you should go get Jonathan Taylor and live for today. Worry about tomorrow.
Yeah, we're all in. The thing with Ogbah, by the way, you Dolphin fans, Omar and I are not trying to dump on Ogbah or get rid of him. The reality is as it stands right now, he's a $15 million backup, which is very expensive for a backup.
Backup who doesn't have special teams value, who doesn't necessarily fit into your scheme either as a hand in the ground defensive lineman or a stand-up outside linebacker. On best case situations, he plays on passing downs as a stand-up outside linebacker, and Jalen Phillips comes off the field. And I don't think anybody really wants Jalen Phillips coming off the field.
Or they go for pure lineman and stick his hand in the ground. That's the other thing that they can do with him. And it's the same for Cedric Wilson. We're not Cedric Wilson haters, but right now he's a $7 million fifth or sixth wide receiver on the roster.
And nobody is taking that contract. No, you should get a parade down Miami Garden, Chris Greer, if you can move Cedric Wilson.
No, that would be. How about a fifth round pick, Agba and Cedric Wilson for Jonathan Taylor? There you go. Boom.
Hey, you might have to throw in a fifth round pick to move Cedric Wilson.
No, well, correct. That's a good point.
Which is not out of the realm of possibilities. If I throw you a fifth round pick,
it's been done before. Brock Osweiler, when he was traded
my God,
Denver to Houston or Cleveland, I don't remember which of the two. They basically gave him a second round pick to take on the guy's contract. So it's been done before. Dolphins are not giving up a second round pick just to get rid of Cedric Wilson's contract. But if it was Cedric Wilson and a 5 for a conditional 7,
Cedric Wilson in this 6 that they just got from the Bears might interest somebody.
There you go. I think that's going to wrap it up for now. Keep in mind, we are taping this about what time is it now? About 10:15 a.m. on Tuesday. So don't hold it against us if some moves get done before you have a chance to watch this. We will be back with a post roster moves recap later on Tuesday. Until then, Omar.
Tell the people the work that you've got on alldolphins.com.
Oh, we got time. I can do this. Sure. What work do I have? So we already today on alldolphins.com, we have Omar breaking down the trade of Dan Feeney to the Chicago Bears. I have an analysis of the Christian Wilkins situation. I did a historical piece as well. Maybe hysterical or historical, either one of the Dolphins trades for veteran running backs, some of which have worked out very, very well. Little trivia here. 3 of the top 4 rushing seasons in Dolphin history, single season, were produced by running backs acquired in a trade. I'm sure you know Ricky Williams is one.
Reggie Bush, Ricky Williams.
No, it's 2 different running backs. Reggie Bush did have a 1,000-yard season, but not top 3. It's way before your time, the other one. Older Dolphin fans will recognize the name Delvin Williams. So there have been quite. In fact, the Dolphins had made one of those trades last year when they acquired Jeff Wilson Jr. And then Omar is also going to produce some content on alldolphins.com. Is that right, Omar?
Yes, I am. I don't remember what it's going to be right now, but it's
just check it out. We always have a bunch of stuff on there. And again, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends.
And it's always free. The capital F word.
Yes, sir. Okay. Until we talk again.
See ya.